everybody. Welcome to Tuesday TLD Cast. This is the Training, Learning, and Development broadcast. You're connecting with the Training, Learning, and Development community. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We have a fantastic day lined up for you today. As you can probably see, we have the wonderful Snap Synapse, Mr. Sam Rogers, in the house today.
Hello. Thanks for allowing me to emerge from my Friday container and come be a guest on another day.
Your Friday container. I like that. Yes, for those of you who might be a little confused at seeing Sam, this is not Friday. This is not Video Friday. We have a very special topic to discuss with you today. And my audio is not sounding good again. Gosh darn it.
You're just too hot for the mic, Brent.
I'm just going to crank it all up and just see what happens.
No, don't do that. No.
Just tell me if I get too loud. Oh, now I'm louder? Well, haha. So it's a race. Anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. Thanks for being here, being a part of the community. You could be a member if you tried. All you have to do is go to tldc.us and click on membership. If you feel like you're getting value out of being a part of this community, become a member and get all of the value of being a member and everything membership has to offer. It's a good time. You won't regret it for sure. We've got a lot of important stuff coming up that's going to require membership, actually. So you might as well just get a head start on it because everything will be free to members. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind if you're contemplating whether or not you would like to be a member of TLDC or not. Besides that, we have a wonderful chat group that's free also in Slack. TLD Chat is in our Slack group. Join us over there 24/7 for conversation. The greatest in group collaborative performance support maybe, or free consulting, if you will. Ask any question you want related to the work that you do in training, learning, and development, and we will do our best to get you an answer and help you get what you need to get better at the work of training, learning, and development, all of the work that you do. So I see a lot of new faces and a lot of names that I have not seen in a long time, and it is great to see you all here. And so, without a whole lot of other stuff with me rambling on, we should probably get started and talk about this awesome new thing that a great collection of folks have come together to create called the Digital Learning Asset Framework. And that was spearheaded by Sam Rogers. So maybe you can take it from here, Sam, and tell us a little bit about what this is.
Sure. For anyone, and do say if the audio levels are like too crazy still. For anyone who's been, following my tweets or complaints in this place or ideas or any of that, I've been working on this for a while, which is like 20 years ago, I started out in learning and development, and no one really heard from me much. I was content to just be doing the work, in the background best I could. And about 2 years ago or so, actually in part because of Brent, I started sticking my neck out and like applying for conferences and being a part of live streams like this, the larger learning and development community, and not just some guy that was out there on his own doing stuff. And part of my reasoning for doing that was wanting to learn how to do stuff better and figuring that we all have answers that we can all use. All of our different perspectives, all of our different experiences should help inform what it is that we as a collective do. And I've met some awesome people and had some great connections with folks, both live and online and stuff. But I haven't really found that much in the way of, people gathering together to do the work better. Like, how is it that our community learns from itself? How is it that we're storing that knowledge? What kinds of, beliefs do we have as a community? And how can we better express that to our business partners in the organization? I tried to hand this idea off to, all the major training organizations or to people doing evaluations of training and all those kinds of things. Eventually, I realized no one else was going to take it. And so I reached out to all the, some of the awesome people that I've met over the last year or two, and put together a kind of brain trust of folks from that diverse array of perspectives, people who have expertise in different kinds of learning, different modalities, and from different geographies, just trying to get something that's beyond just the, Brent and I, we like to geek out and we know a lot, but we're two white guys in the US. Like, it doesn't necessarily lend itself to a lot of diversity of opinion. So, so trying to expand beyond that and come up with a way of stating what it is that we can make better, and looking from a minimum viable product kind of perspective, not something that solves all the problems of the training world, but something that at least gets the discussion started in a way that better aligns with things that are testable, things that we can actually know are true and can be demonstrated and replicated, and that, is like a little basic science in there, as opposed to just being stuck in the beliefs or the ideology, the training that we have as trainers. It's great to be able to take that knowledge that we've earned. And I don't have a master's in education, or I'm not working towards my doctorate in it or anything. I'm just a guy doing the work, in the background, and I want to do it better. And so got some of those PhD folks and master's folks in the mix with the Digital Learning Asset Framework, and tried to pool that knowledge and come together to find something that can actually be that evidence-based practice that we talk about, something that we can use to express value to the business in a way that hopefully doesn't get too derailed into that ROI conversation and all of that, but that we can say this works, and that this works better than this works. Just real simple stuff. This is training, and that's something that we need to do, but it's not necessarily something that we can measurably make the claim to call it training. Like, people are going to be exposed to it and learn from it. It's just some kind of ground floor platform. And in putting that together, it's great to see so many friendly faces out here too. Ray Jimenez was part of this, and we've got Josh Cavalier here on all sorts of Ann Copens too, Ajay Pankakar. There's some great folks right here from this community that I drew from to kind of put this together. But I was really trying to make it something that's not, Sam's ideas off here in a corner, but something that is maybe Sam as project coordinator, to be able to put these different ideas together, and did get a lot of great feedback over the course of about 4 months, from a monthly hangout meeting online for an hour or so, and emails in between, back and forth, people asking questions, kind of zeroing in on what we could do to make a framework for digital learning assets. And that part was my initial choice. I didn't really know what to call it. And it's still not such a great name. If anyone has better name ideas, as Brent said so eloquently yesterday, the digital learning thingy.
Assets of digital something or other for learning people every now and then.
Yes, something like that. Like, this isn't the best name, but it was the banner under which I was able to gather some of the folks that were part of this effort, which was about 30 people. And there's about 15 of those now who have signed off on version 1.1, which I was happy to announce at TLDC 18 exactly 4 weeks ago in Phoenix. Yeah, thanks again, Brent and Luis, for that opportunity, being able to take a couple minutes to just read a statement and make the splash new for 2018. This is just version 1. It's not like the end all and be all kind of thing. As more people implement it, as more people use it, it will grow stronger. And I'm sure it will change. This isn't like the big splash, we've got it all figured out now, don't worry about it kind of thing. This is much more of the community spirit of here's a beginning, now let's make it better. How do you use it? How do you use it? How do you use it? And with that in mind, it's under a Creative Commons license. So it's not anything that I'm putting out there, as a proprietary thing that we can make money off of, and we can sell you the manual, and we can, all
that stuff,
all the salesy stuff. I'm not so into that. I just like to have a firm platform that we can stand on together and that we can build on together. And everyone who is a part of that digital learning asset framework collective stood behind that vision and contributed to it.
Well, let's go ahead and fire that up. You want to do a quick screen share?
Yes, but first I'm going to compete with myself by putting in the website, which is digitallearningassetframework.com. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does just roll off the tongue. Hey, apparently my audio is still a little low compared to yours again. How is it sounding now, everybody?
I forgot the slashes, but Craig, if you could fix that for me, then it'll be a dynamic link. And in sharing this screen, I actually don't know how that's going to work. Let's see. Let's see, he says again.
You want me to share it?
I want to present. So I have, there's a lot of things that I like about PowerPoint as a tool, but I never use it unless I have to. And I'm doing a presentation tomorrow for the Training Magazine Network. And I kind of have to use PowerPoint because it's Adobe Connect and it doesn't really react well to anything else. And so I built this in PowerPoint. So now I've got 3 screens and none of them are doing what they're supposed to do, so that I can share one of them in this presentation.
Yeah, I tried to do that once before as well. I know what you mean. When you're trying to do PowerPoint in the presentation mode in Crowdcast, you can't.
You can't. Okay, so this is a useful bit of information for everyone.
Unless you were able to do, when you do the screen share in Crowdcast, click on the monitor and share the whole monitor. Don't share the application.
Okay. Screen window. Screen window. Wider than my head. Okay. Let's try. Well, see, now I don't even know which screen to use. Well, vamp for a second, Brent. Let me.
I will vamp for a second, absolutely, and I'll ask people what the heck is up with this. I hope my audio is sounding a little bit better now as we go. While he's getting connected, we should have jumped in and tested this ahead of time, but we didn't, and so it kind of just happens. But and I'm just going to crank up all the knobs, and now how's that, everybody? Am I loud and distorted? It doesn't even sound like doesn't even look like it's clipping or anything. Too much. All right, good deal. That's what I need to do. I know. Kara says, "Stop touching your audio." I know.
Okay, let's try that. Does that work?
That came up. Yes, it's looking good.
Okay, great. Title slide, everyone.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So everybody kind of knows who I am. I didn't want to talk about me. This is a little bit of a preview for tomorrow's presentation. I wanted to try it out with you, and I'm very interested in your feedback and your questions. Please keep them coming in the chat. I wanted to tell you about my friend Ellen. You may know Ellen, and if you don't know Ellen, you know someone who's a lot like her. She's an instructional designer and developer, and she loves what she does, and she's good at it. And Ellen has a problem, unfortunately, and that problem is maintenance. When it comes to, and hopefully it goes, yes, the nightmare of maintenance. So her organization, the sales enablement software that they use, they just changed the process for converting leads from to clients. They just changed all of the software around how that works. And of course, she's the last one to know about it. She developed a training video around it. And now she's being told, well, this process changed and we need to change it in all the training. And by the way, we just hired a bunch of new salespeople last week, and this changed last week. So we're now giving people the wrong information. But, you know, it should be simple to change the video and stuff, right? Well, yeah, it should be simple to change that video. Only it's not so much. Now, this could be for any asset, but Ellen's dealing with the video. So she remembers that she made this video for the sales onboarding course, but right, wasn't that somewhere else too? What about like the wasn't there a job aid or something with a screenshot that had all the arrows? Yeah, that's going to have to change. And who had that? That was someone else on the team. Oh, right. Looking on the email, that person hasn't been here for a little while. According to the email chain, there's not really anything to fall back on. And what about all the questions that are in the course that reference that video? You know, the process used to be this, the right answer used to be this. Now we need to change our distractors, even if we don't need to change our right answer. We need to change all the references to this process. Which, by the way, aren't just in this one little course, right? They're in our whole first-year training curriculum for salespeople. She doesn't have any way to know that. And, oh, right, this is changing, but it's not just changing for that first-year salesperson. It's changing for everybody. So actually, the whole scope has changed. What about those other people, the salespeople that are out in the field? Well, they need this video now, too. But can they even get this video on their mobile device out there doing the job? You know, we never scoped this video for that in the first place for new salespeople who are being trained at HQ. And then there's the always exciting problem of where are the source files? So you can't update the video in the course package because it's an MP4 and a SCORM file, and they're both like, you need the layered file for the video in order to make the edit to that part of the video, and you need, you know, the course files to be able to then render out the SCORM package to be able to wrap that all up in the zip and put it back on the LMS. Everybody knows it's on the LMS, but fixing it isn't like downloading it from the LMS and fixing it and uploading it again. So there's the fun hunt of where did this video source file go? And as you may have experienced, problems like this can take a little while. She has to stop everything that she's doing, all the development work, all the cool instructional design stuff that she likes and that she's good at, in order to go solve this problem and track all these things down. And worst of all, no matter how fast she does it, no matter how good she is at it, the business is going to say it's too slow, right? Because new salespeople are right now receiving the wrong information. They're receiving information which used to be true, but is no longer true for them. And there's no way in which Ellen can win here. It's not going to go well. She'll never be 100% sure she thought of everything either, because it's not like, oh, wait, what about wasn't there a reference like to the tech support document? Oh, right. Like this is the kind of stuff that, you know, she wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, right. Yeah, that too. Okay. So what the thing is that she wants to do now is make sure that those little things that go off in the back of her mind, you know, she knew that this training wasn't going to be around forever because they roll out new updates to the training or to the sales enablement software every quarter or two. They don't always have to do with this segment of the application, but it's predictable that there will be change. And just because it's the week after the beginning of the new quarter and they've hired new salespeople last week, and that happens to be when the new changes roll out to the software, this is interrupting the lifeblood of her organization. This is something that is the sales pipeline. Nothing is higher visibility than this for her. And she wants it to go well, but there's no way to make it go well in the past. All we can do is plan for the future and say, this may not be my fault, but it's very much my problem. Never again. So that's what Ellen says. And she figures out that there's this digital learning asset framework thing. With this revision to the content, that's what she's going to start using, is looking at the full content lifecycle and being able to plan, because this fire drill is not the first one and it won't be the last. So she's getting ready for the next one now. Now, unlike, a learning management system purchase or some big, infrastructural overhaul or working with IT, what the digital learning asset framework allows her to do is, without any of that oversight or approval, to just start planning, to be able to search this metadata in the future, to take the video that she's creating, that she's updating now, and instantly see where those source files are, what they're called, confirm that they're the right version, which assets, assessment questions are linked to those assets, which of the assets are embedded within that asset, which assets are embedding that asset, like where did the video go or any derivatives of that video. Basically all the things that are dependent upon that video, that if this were to change, she would need to change that as well. And who she needs to ask about approval for all this stuff too, because that's changed since the last time she made the video. It's not even the same person that's managing it. And it's really good to be able to work in coordination with that person when it comes to regular updates. So she leverages the 5 core principles of the digital learning asset framework. And she uses that to build out the business logic and the strategies and the tactics and the tools and the techniques that are unique to her organization. So now she has what she needs to tell what kind of testing this video is going to need, or if a video is even a good idea, given the change in the audience scope and the anticipated frequency of the updates, how much work it is to actually change that. Using the digital learning asset framework, she's just looking for the things that are predictably stupid and being able to correct for those. So we can't correct for all of the surprises out there, but we can plan for stopping some of the stupid in the first place. And we can do that to make everything better, not just for ourselves. This isn't something that just is an advantage for Ellen. This is something that makes her entire department work smoother, something that becomes an asset strategy for the entire team. So it's working better for the entire team, including the new guy who just started today, who doesn't know anything about anything or where anything is. He doesn't have anything to reference except institutional memory. Well, now he can work with this set of information about the media that is being made. And in a couple months' time, Ellen has not only made this video part of the metadata infrastructure, part of her framework for managing digital learning assets. She's back to the more cool stuff that she likes doing, which is designing and developing things even better than she's been able to do previously. And her entire team is also stronger. She's able to distribute the knowledge so that even if she were to leave, people still know what to do. The new guy is ramped up in record time. He's been able to produce more value immediately for the organization. And as that's happening, she is able to actually consider more than just designing and developing training. She's able to actually look at managing people now and finally working her way up to that promotion that she's been wanting, to actually work with the whole training infrastructure, with making the people of the department stronger as well. And how Ellen did all this is with a single one-page reference guide and building out the framework for her business. Now, this is version 1.0 of the Digital Learning Asset Framework. It's available under Creative Commons license. Again, no approvals, no things that compete with existing technology or evaluation strategies or ADDIE or SAM or whatever. This can work with all of that, not instead of all of that. So no approvals, no troubles really. Quietly done, doesn't require a big purchase. And
I know you're just rolling this out, Sam, and I don't mean to cut you off or anything to jump in, but I'm just curious, has anybody had enough time yet to actually go through and implement this in one of their projects?
Not yet. And you guys are getting the first real live presentation of this. TA was where the announcement happened 4 weeks ago. So since putting it into this form, I've started using it with one of my clients. There's other interest from other clients as well, and being able to be the case study for stuff like this. But this is new. So it's not like there's a bunch of prior work or success stories to be able to show you, which is why I give the fictional example of L&D training to be able to show what benefits would be. And that's focusing simply on the management part of the Digital Learning Asset Framework. It's not just about that. It's about making, managing, and measuring the media of training better than we've been able to in the past. So for most of the folks who are watching here, it's the managing part, I think, that's the biggest pain point. Like, pretty much nobody does that well, as far as I know. I've been asking around for years. Yeah. And as much as I could tell, like, our usual solution to things going wrong is to make new things and just keep making them. But as the pace of change increases and as our ability to track all those changes kind of breaks down, that solution will not continue to work in the future as well as it's been able to work in the past, which is not all that great anyway, frankly. So that's one of the main selling points, is being able to better manage stuff, being able to better update stuff. But the 5 core principles do speak to that whole full life cycle of being able to make, then manage, and also measure all of the media of training. And to be able to do that in a way that we're not talking about completions in courses or something. Course, like an online course, would be an aggregation of media. It wouldn't be media itself. So like this slide would be one asset. Embedded within it are 4 other assets. So if I change Digital Learning Asset Framework to 1.1, this slide would need to change. But also the related asset of the recording of this presentation, that would need to change. And so this provides us a way to keep track of that, that is not like the full scale, digital learning asset management system database of everything, but just to have even just a small text file that accompanies the asset wherever it goes, so that we can have a reference that we can compare really quickly and know that it is that what we have made is good probably until this date. And when that date comes, we have something that we can now search that says, when we made this, we thought it might only last a year. and that we don't forget a year later when we're busy fighting other fires that we made that thing that we're supposed to review right now. Some just basic problems like that. And thanks again to all of the folks who were a part of helping create this. It really made a huge difference to be able to be corrected for me on some of my assumptions about how all this would work and what it would look like, not just in this video example, which is familiar to me, but what it's going to look like in an immersive VR kind of case, in a gamified case, what it's going to look like for audio, for images, for just simple text, how that aligns with all the different strategies and evaluation methods which are currently available. It was big help. So thank you again to everyone else. And should I dive into some of the questions, or did you want me to talk about the question process?
Let me take my break real quick, and you can jump back into the chat if you want to or whatnot and fill that in. And while I just do my 30-minute thing, and when we come back, maybe what we can do is, if anybody that was really active in helping you build this is in the chat and wants to jump into video, maybe they can give their kind of insights into how the process went and how they see using it and things like that. And we can also maybe answer some of these questions as well.
Sure. Great.
Sound cool? All right. I will get my own screen share thing going up there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. The Digital Learning Asset Framework. I'm still getting it to roll off my tongue, but I think I've got it now. So it is definitely going to be helpful. As Sam's going through that story, I sensed the pain that you all have felt in dealing with what Ellen was dealing with. And I remember dealing with it myself, and also seeing how this can be helpful in a couple projects that I'm working on as well. And also thinking way ahead, and maybe this is something we can talk about later, you know, how can we automate this process so that we're not just stuck with text files and make it a little bit better. My audio is still low, Joseph. All right, let me see if I can crank this up. Just let me know if that's too loud, not loud enough, whatever. I'm going to take Kara's advice and try not to touch any more of the knobs. But anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out today. Wow, we had a huge crowd in today. Thanks all of you for hanging out and wanting to listen to and learn more about the Digital Learning Asset Framework. But don't forget, we're here every single day. Please feel free to come back. The conversations we have here are always value added. Sometimes we go a little bit off the rails, but most of the time we have a lot of fun. Talking shop, sharing projects, sharing our knowledge, sharing our experiences with our peers and colleagues. It is all of the best of what you might get out of a one-time experience at an event, wrapped up every single day in a live collaborative streaming broadcast like TLD Cast. So stay for the community and hang out in the 24/7 chat as well. Tell all your friends about it. If you miss one of our fantastic episodes, you can always catch it on the iTunes or one of the other podcast grabbers, one of those apps, and listen to it at your leisure. If you enjoy listening to the audio version of what we do here on TLDC, it is definitely something fun to do. I know I have to come up with all of the fancy words, Kara, so that's what they're called from now on. And just, you know, everybody give me some sort of, you know, reference points every time you use the word. You're killing me. You're killing me. It's all good. What did I miss? We got the podcast, we got the chat, we got the broadcast, we've got the community, we've got events coming up. I can't even begin to tell you about all the events coming up because you're going to hear a lot more in the near future. But yes, we also have sponsors, fantastic sponsors that also provide a lot of extra value to the community, not just in the tools and the services that they offer, but in their engagement with the community and being a part of what we do and sponsoring and supporting what we're trying to build and scale up and do here at TLDC. So we appreciate everybody for stepping up and going that extra mile and being our sponsors. Just as sort of an FYI, Mindspace was our big supporter and sponsor of TLDC 18. And last week, they sponsored the whole entire week of TLDcast. And tomorrow, I will be out at their office broadcasting from the Mindspace offices. And so you will get a chance to see their space a little bit. And but it's going to be a regular show like anything else. So don't think it's just going to be one big giant day of advertising for Mindspace. They are all about adding value and learning from the community. And so tomorrow will be a day full of learning and sharing, just like every other day. It'll probably be like an open forum, except Brent being in a totally new location. So we'll see how that goes. Keep our fingers crossed that they have some really epic bandwidth and the stream goes okay. And you'll all be grateful to know that I won't have my soundboard with me or my mixing board, so I won't be futzing with the audio the whole entire time. So I'll be like everybody else and just bring a headset or something and just go totally, go all USB. Anyway, so thanks everybody for being a part of what we do here. And let's get back and figure out what more we can do with the digital asset framework.
Well, not that I would encourage you to be dependent upon your soundboard, Brent, but you can go all USB with a soundboard and be able to have all of your different inputs coming from interviews or whatever.
I love that board, and I looked at it, and mine is similar. It's just older. It's not quite as cool. All right. I told myself I'd never do this, but I'm just going to do this.
Geek moment.
I have an old-fashioned, the Alesis Multimix 4.
Great.
Is what I'm currently going through. So you've got a button on yours for looping back.
Yeah.
That's right, to get video out of it. So my version of looping back is this.
Plug the wire in. Yeah. Well, that's really what a loop back is. All the button does is connect a circuit, just like you're doing. But what I'm pointing to in the geek moment here is USB here to plug in a computer or an iPad, which I use frequently, so that I can be totally battery powered and mobile about what I'm doing using this board, using my Mevo camera, using an iPad, full on mobile video studio. I just plug a little power pack in here to power this board. That's
the only thing mine doesn't have is the power pack part, but it is USB. If you notice the gray cable right there coming out the back.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is definitely USB, and I could take it with me, but I would need power, and it would be a huge pain in the butt. And so, anyways, I don't know. Maybe you've convinced me to do it anyways, so I might just take it with me and just say forget about it. I was trying to go easy, low budget, just zip in.
Easy and low budget are great. Just pointing out that it's not a constraint of the technology.
Yeah, I know. I want to upgrade to yours. I really do. So, because when you posted that link to your,
this is a Yamaha A606.
Yeah, I know. I saw that, and I looked it up, and I looked at all the specs, and I was like, dang, I want that. Okay, sorry, everybody. We're done geeking out now. Let's answer a question from the block. If you are a learning management system and authoring tool, how would they be able to facilitate these kinds of metadata?
To apply the digital learning asset framework and be one of the first to get in on having that as an offering. No long, just like SCORM standard, learning management systems didn't used to have that. It was either something proprietary or it was AICC, and then they did SCORM. Now XAPI is the thing that is a competitive edge for vendors and authoring tools. I'm hopeful that the digital learning asset framework will be something like that as well.
So the digital learning asset framework, it's in its 1.0 stage. It is an idea in that PDF as far as
Yes.
what you can do. What you're saying is, from an LMS or an authoring tool perspective, them being able to take that and integrate the metadata concepts, maybe tags or things like that, and take the same concept but apply it in there.
Yeah, and so this is a good question. I haven't talked about this at all yet with anybody, but especially as we're moving towards XAPI, especially as we're moving towards more micro learning kinds of experiences, smaller doses, and we're breaking open the course to what it is that makes up a course.
Yep.
The tracking of all of these elements is actually not only possible, it's happening now. So having some kind of framework for understanding why we make those assets, what they're for, what they do, and how to manage them as individual and discrete elements is really important. And it's something that can apply to the older forms of online courses or webinars or whatever. Like, it certainly can apply there, but it becomes even more useful when we start breaking things up into what are those indivisible elements of training. Let's build from that atomic level up, and then we can start talking about the molecules and the compounds and all that kind of stuff. But let's take it down to that finite level.
Okay.
And then build something that makes sense.
Awesome. Why does the model focus on learning impact when it should focus on performance outcomes?
Great. I have slides about this, which will be part of my presentation tomorrow for the Training Magazine Network. The easy answer is in principle 1 and 2, performance is impacted by a variety of factors, and learning is only one of the things. So if I have, say, like a bunch of audit and compliance folks who are processing things in an application, and they're trying to close as many cases as possible, and the incentives are misaligned for them, and the more things they close, the better off their rating is. They're going to close a lot of things regardless of whether they should be closed or not. This is not a learning issue. This is an incentives issue. If the platform that they're using, the software that they're using to move things from one state to another is buggy, it doesn't work well, it doesn't matter if they know how to do the right thing. The right performance will not happen. So those are things which we can correct via other interventions other than training. They are not ultimately learning issues. So principle 1 of the digital learning asset framework, the performance gap, is all about looking at what is creating that gap in performance. Principle 2, the knowledge gap, is about dealing with when it is a gap in skills or concepts or facts that is causing the problem. Only then will making training media be able to impact that performance. But we kind of got to filter it on the front end. We have to make sure that we're not giving training to people who already know the answer. If they already know the answer, there will be no value that you can measure. There has been no learning. They already knew it. So
how does the digital learning asset framework, maybe this is just part of this conversation and you're just answering Ajay's question, but I didn't think that the digital learning asset framework's responsibility was around the learning and the design aspect. It's an asset framework for just doing the work of the learning. Two separate sort of worlds, right?
Right. So you're right. And in order to make media under the digital learning asset framework, it should be demonstrably useful. It should provide a value. And if it can't provide that value, then it doesn't fit in the digital learning asset framework. So there's the first principle is about what's out of scope. What are those problems that are not at their core learning problems? The second one is about what is in scope. What are the problems that are truly learning problems. Well, now it makes sense to make a digital learning asset. But a lot of the stuff that we make, and this happens all the time, a lot of the stuff that we make, it's not really learning, and we still have to make it. And if the boss says make it, you know, and you're hired by the boss, you make what the boss makes or tells you to make. But it's not that it's qualifies for the digital learning asset framework. It's not something that that the framework is designed for. And you may be able to pick and choose some elements of it, but it's obvious right up front that you will never be able to measure this as learning, because that's not the problem it's solving.
So when we talk about a digital learning asset, is part of the framework defining what we call an asset? So
yes.
Like, for example, is an asset a whole entire course? Is it the whole SCORM module? Is it something that gets exported from an authoring tool, the final chunk? Or could a learning asset be one image that's used inside of a course but maybe doesn't in and of itself have any inherent learning value other than it is supporting other content around it? You see what I'm getting at?
Yes, and I am talking about value in a way that we don't usually. I'm talking about those discrete elements of training. So I'll just share a couple slides in answer to this question.
Okay.
There's all the things that learning and development makes and manages. And then there's digital learning assets. So it's not all the everythings for everybody all the time. It's the things for which we know that there is media, and that what it is that we're defining as media is right there on the reference. It's not courses generally. It's the elements that would roll up into a course. So Donald Clark had a great article that was just shared here yesterday about the time spent in training and how it is that we tend to kind of fluff things out and all that. So this model is built to focus on what are the indivisible units of things that people are in training to get, and how can we make that thing better. So digital learning assets are designed to accelerate the acquisition of a concept or a skill or a fact. And that's what they do in this definition. It's not all the everythings. It's the things that speed people to, and a defined group of people, a target group. It speed people to having that skill, possessing that concept, knowing that fact, in order to influence behavior, something that can be seen in performance.
So, oh, good. Okay, that's excellent segue, because that was going to be my next question. So, so if, for example, an image, let's say that there is a learning asset that is a slide, like you said. It's got an image on it and it's got text on it, and it says something really wickedly important, and people need it, and it's great. But there's a rule somewhere that says every learner or each individual person that might be consuming this is going to need a different picture.
Okay.
Does that fall under the digital learning asset framework? And each of those pictures then becomes a learning asset, even though the picture in and of itself is not a learning asset. It's just media.
If something's being included to aid in learning for the purpose of influencing behavior within our target group, then it has a reason to exist. It has a reason to be there.
And if the reason for it to exist has nothing to do with learning, when it's combined with text or maybe with a little audio track or something, then it becomes a learning asset, that collection, or do each of the elements fall under that? And do we need metadata for each of the elements that combined it becomes focused on performance and learning?
Then what it is at that point is dispensable. What it is clutter. What it is something that you can't put in a course accidentally, but using the digital learning asset framework, you know that these are the things that we need. This is the fluff. It's separated out. It's not critical to the learning. So things that you're adding, such as an image like that don't that aren't for the purpose of influencing behavior, I'm wondering like what that would be, like as an example. You're putting in like a cartoon graphic or something because you think a graphic looks good on every page of your course or something like that. At that point, it doesn't matter if it's there. There's nothing to track. Nothing about it's going to change. It's just fluff.
But yeah, I guess, so languages, let me take the conversation there. Let's
Sure.
say the audio file needs to be in different languages.
Yes.
That's part of this as well, correct?
Yes, it is. And that's something that didn't make it into version 1.0 explicitly in the metadata, but it's on the queue for version 1.1. And thanks to Ann Copens for helping kind of flesh that out a little bit and ask some questions about that. This is, when we're making something, we're making it for a target group. We're making it for a specific audience. And so if we're making things in multiple languages, we are by definition making them for different target groups. But we can only make something for one group at a time, whatever group that is. We're making something for someone. And it may be that we're making an asset that doesn't have any language in it, that's simply an image or a diagram or something like that. Okay, so the target group is all the people who need to see this image. When we're making things that are in text or that are language in audio or video or whatever, being able to make different assets for those different target groups is critical. And being able to design for this from the get-go, to know, oh yeah, we're making a video and it's going to go out to 5 different languages. We ran into this problem at YouTube. We shot all the videos and then we found out, oh yeah, we want to do this in Japan. Well, we've got all of the like motion graphics of things flying in English. How do you do this when people are talking really fast? Okay, we've got subtitles that we can put here. We left room for that, but like, how do we solve this problem? Well, the best way to solve it is to design for it in the first place. When you have a target group that you're making something for, then you know how to make it. But when you're just designing stuff for people and you haven't defined who those people are and what language they speak, it makes it really hard to solve that problem well.
Yeah. Let me jump in and get a couple of these other questions out of the way. Dan says that he's very interested in hearing how your case study is going to work. What's the time frame on completing that?
I don't have a time frame in mind for the case study. The one that I'm working with my own client, like I said, there's another one in the wings as well. This is really new. My focus has been for the last month announcing this at TLDC, posting new content every day to the website, which is videos explaining things like this definition or other elements of how the framework part works and all that kind of thing. The whole press release, the social media stuff, getting the word out there, following up with all of the signatories to make sure, it's okay to say, hey, you backed this and here's your picture as part of the thank yous and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm coordinating it. I am not the only person who gets to do a case study. I'm just one person who helped put together this effort in hopes that everyone who finds out about it can take it and run with it. And make their own case studies and implement it in small ways. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing, but to just get started.
Yeah. So, and Kara asks, the purpose of your version 1.0, are you seeking additional feedback on it?
Yeah, of course. Feedback that's at this point not conceptual, but is based in implementation. So if you're having trouble implementing it because blah, 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 absolutely. If you think that there's a better way to do it first, and we'll take that feedback.
Awesome. And Kim says, this sounds like a database or a relational database to me. Are you considering offering an empty database that companies can fill in and customize it? It would help with implementation, in your opinion.
Yeah, that would help with scaling an implementation. However, in order to scale, we need to get from 0 to 1. So no is the answer to that question. I'm not building anything. I'm not selling anything. I'm not doing that. I am hopeful that with a grassroots movement that this started as, that it will continue, and that people who make tools, people who make LMSs, I saw digital asset management systems or DAM systems mentioned in this. And those are real things that almost, I've never heard of a training organization that uses a digital asset management system.
Yeah, I mean,
and absolutely we should. This is a nudge in that direction. But it is not scalable at this point to something that's a huge database that we retroactively go back and get all of the stuff before and make those determinations on things that we already made. This is a starting place for being able to take the things that you're making right now and start. And then when eventually, if other tools become available, if other databases become available, you're ready to go. There is no transition effort. Here's all the files, load them. There's no going back to like figure stuff out. We've already figured it out. Now we just need to input it into our system and we're rolling. So you're scaling something that exists. As right now, we're just working on the make it exist first part.
Love it. Love it. I got a ton of questions. I could continue on forever. I know everybody else in the chat probably is thinking about this too. I definitely want to try to implement this myself in small chunks and just to kind of figure out and help and be a part of the community. So, but we're out of time today. So I just wanted to say thanks, Sam. Is there any parting words or engagement or things that people can be doing or thinking about that you can leave them with?
I will leave with tune into Magazine Network webinar. And go and download this right now. And I'd love to hear from anyone in this forum, anyone doing work about ideas that it gives you with how to track all these assets or just places that you think we got it wrong, questions that you have, all of that. Check it out at digitallearningassetframework.com. And no, there's not a link to this specific presentation yet, but I'll post that after tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah. So definitely, you guys, if you want more details, Sam's going to go into a lot more detail tomorrow in his webinar. So if I kind of dragged him all over the place with my mixer conversation and everything, I apologize. But spend an hour tomorrow in his webinar and you can actually not get distracted by having some idiot like me talking in other directions. But I'm at the website, digitallearningassetframework.com, and I don't know where to download it.
Oh, it's, I guess I should make that a more prominent link. I will do that momentarily.
Okay, yeah, because
I'll put a download button that says download on it. How about that?
Yeah, because I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, it's okay. It's in the about, but I'll make it big.
It's in the what?
The about.
Oh, it says structure, principles, Q&A.
Yeah, and while this presentation that I've been giving is fresh, and thank you for letting me kind of demo Ellen's story to you and stuff, there's a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff that I've made and other graphics and animations and things. So there's plenty to check out on this website and to sign up for the newsletter. So.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time and doing all of this work. I think it is a fantastic effort, and I really appreciate you driving it.
Well, yeah, it's there's no hair here. It's because problems like these have been having me pull my hair out for years and years and years, and now I'm just working with all of you other brilliant people to be able to solve for them in ways that we can all benefit from.
I'm looking forward to seeing somebody implement it and come back with all of the great wins and how awesome it worked out for them. So that will be the next big phase. So anyways, thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I just closed him out, which means his screen's probably going to go away. Oh, no, his screen stays. Oh, there it goes. That was interesting. I'd never done that before. Good times today, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I apologize for being the crazy host, always coming up with different things for the audio. I'll get this right and figure out a system that works for me. I just got really tired of this being right in front of me and always having to be on top of it all the time. So I thought I'd try the fancy little lav mic, but maybe it's just not powered enough and I'm not going to sound quite as good. I don't know. I need more time to test, and that's what I don't have. So we just have to test live. It's just the way we roll. So anyways, I hope everybody learned at least a little bit about the digital learning asset framework, and that if you have an opportunity to apply it in what you're doing, then please do and test it out. Even if it's you test it out in small chunks, you got to start somewhere. And so I think we should definitely all be thinking about that and doing it from that point on. So check out the podcast, hang out with us in Slack group for TLD chat, and sign up for the newsletter. If you have not been to the website and signed up for the newsletter, you should do that first. And then also become a member, become a paid member. TLD Cast will always be free. And this conversation that happens every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern time, will always be free. And we love having you here and we appreciate you here. And we ask nothing of you to just hang out with us for an hour each day. And same with TLD Chat. TLD Chat in Slack will always be free. But if you feel like you're gaining some extra value out of this and it's making you better at the job that you're doing, or you're gaining some sort of value, even if you are a consultant and you're finding work, please support us and please join us as a paid member. And, just to let us know that, you're getting value out of it and you appreciate what we're doing here. It would really mean a lot. And I think it would make you all feel better too. So, thanks for being a part of the community. We really, really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Love having you hanging out with us every single day. And again, we will see you tomorrow, although I will not be here with all this stuff. I will be in the fantastic offices of Mindspace in Tempe, Arizona, near the campus of Arizona State University. So we will see you all tomorrow. Everybody have a fantastic day. Bye, bye, no, 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 no.